Swiss-made dive watches. They tend not to be the best value for money. Today though, that's not the case. We've got a Swiss diver that competes with the Japanese, but something even more impressive. They even compete with micro-brand options. And the best part is, these aren't just basic watches. They feature a two-piece case that's made from two different materials, and they're absolutely packed with colour and style. Hello there, my name is Kieran, welcome to Top Tier Ticker. I hope you're having a good day. These are some of the most fun, best looking, brightest dive watches that I've ever got hands on with. Not to mention the quality here is exceptional for the price. And they do also feature the Swiss made stamp, which is something you don't often see around this price with a dive watch. The brand we're talking about today is indeed Christopher Ward. I'd consider myself a fan of Christopher Ward, although sometimes I think they tend to play a little bit safe with their designs. That's certainly not the case with these watches today. Christopher Ward has sent over two of their new Reef models for us to take a closer look at. This video is not sponsored, these watches are just on loan from Christopher Ward, and I might even be buying one of these myself for my collection because I genuinely think they're that good. The exact model name here is C60 Trident Reef, and there's tons of choice within this range. Firstly, you get some serious choices when it comes to colour. There's 5 different variants here. You then get a choice of size, so you can either go for the 41mm version, which I'd consider quite a large dive watch, or you can go even bigger and go for the 44mm version. Then you've got a choice of strap. You can either go for the FKM rubber, which will save you a considerable stack of cash, or you can go with the bracelet, which obviously offers a little bit more longevity. But the first major talking point here for me is the price. Because as you probably know, Christopher Ward has been releasing some serious pieces. I'm talking about the likes of the Bel Canto with its hourly chime, the C12 Loco with the flying balance wheel, and the near perfect 12X titanium with its in-house skeleton movement that boasts a ridiculous 120-hour power reserve. The only problem is, those are some expensive pieces. And if you've been following Christopher Ward for a while, you'll know that they're a brand that originally focused on delivering great value at the more affordable end of the market. And I was starting to worry that maybe they were focusing on, luxury watches a little bit too much and sort of forgetting their roots. And, well, not serving the collectors who helped get them where they are. But I think Christopher Ward just put all of that worry to bed with this new Trident release. Because these watches are still super interesting in their construction. Okay, not quite as interesting as the aforementioned watches, but still, for relatively affordable divers, these are not your run-of-the-mill watches with basic cases and dull dials. The strap version will set you back £695, whilst the bracelet version will cost you £850. Now this might surprise you, as I'm often a collector who's willing to pay extra for a good quality bracelet, but I think the cheaper strap option is actually the play here. You see, these are quite large watches. Even the smaller version at 41mm is still 1mm above what a lot of people consider the sweet spot. Never mind the 44mm version, which features a 51mm lug-to-lug. And the bracelet option comes with positive end links, that being when the end links protrude past the lugs, so the effective lug-to-lug becomes much larger, and sometimes I can struggle with that on my smaller wrist. Whereas with the FKM straps, they shoot straight down at the lugs, making the effective lug-to-lug a lot more manageable. Now for those experienced collectors, you might know that Christopher Ward has a little bit of a reputation for not giving you the best supplied straps with their watches, but over the last 12 months, they've really stepped up their game in this department. These FKM rubber straps supplied with the Trident Reef are nothing but fantastic. You can feel the quality of the rubber in an instant, and the heavy taper of 22mm to just 16mm at the buckle makes them look super sleek on the wrist. And that's where these watches excel in my opinion. Case diameter comes in at 41mm, lug to lug is 48mm, and case thickness is just 11.5mm. For an automatic diver with a 200m rating, that's a pretty impressive thickness, especially when you consider these have display case backs, which typically add on a considerable amount of thickness to a watch. Getting these to be just 11.5mm is some impressive work. And some of you might think I'm boring here, but I'm not usually a fan of display case backs on automatic watches, especially with low cost watches, because typically, and I'm just being honest here, there's not usually that much exciting to look at. But because this is Christopher Ward, a Swiss made watch brand, they use Swiss movements, and pretty good looking ones at that. The Trident Reef utilizes the Sellita SW200-1, however we have a custom rotor which actually looks pretty nice, and then the movement itself also features some extra circular finishing. Certainly not a Lange & Söhne standards, but better looking than your standard SW200 or your typical Seiko automatic. And that ethos of kind of going going the extra mile has been continued with the case. You see, it would have been so easy just to use a regular stainless steel case on these watches. They still would have been brilliant and likely sold like hotcakes, but Christopher Ward went the extra mile. They delivered a little bit more. Instead, they've opted for a two-piece case that offers some of the best viewing angles you'll likely experience with a diver. The lugs and case back are one piece, made from stainless steel. Then you've got an inner barrel made from aluminium that matches the colour of the dial. And because of that unusual construction, just look at how good these watches look from the side profile. All of the different elements pop against each other because those aluminium sections allow for some real contrast between each part. And as mentioned, the colour of the mid case is continued to the face of the watch, with a matching dial and bezel. And I specifically want to highlight the white version here, because the colour match has been taken to the extreme. Sure, the case, bezel and dial match up perfectly, but then the bezel markings, hands, indexes and strap also match too, which ties every single element of this watch together. Also, I adore the metallic handset and indexes here. They come alive in the light and just look $1,000,000. Also notice this is a no-date diver. I'm always a big fan of that. It looks super clean and the legibility here is brilliant. Low light legibility is also good. Christopher Ward uses X1 Superluminova, meaning the highest possible grade, and the colour here is blue, which matches well with most of the colour options. Clarity is brilliant because of the use of a flat sapphire, with what I'm guessing is heaps of anti-reflective treatment because the crystal often looks invisible on this watch. And one small detail I must point out is how close the crystal is to the dial and hands. It's always a good indication of a well-designed watch when the dial is so close to the crystal. Now, with every single review that I make, I always like to include a flaws section, simply to point out a couple of things to expect that might not live up to your previous experiences. But truth be told, with both of these watches, there's very little to point out. I'd have loved these to feature more luminescence, like looming the bezel markings, the chapter ring, and maybe even the full dial on the white version. That would have just been so damn cool. And I do worry that these are very much a summer exclusive watch. Like, are you going to be able to wear these watches in the freezing winter? Okay, maybe the white one, but the orange one will probably look a little bit silly. So potentially, these are summer watches only. But genuinely, that's all I can think of. I've been wearing these watches for the past couple of weeks, getting a real feel for them and trying to find flaws. Obviously, you'll need to be on board with some vibrant colour, but if colour is your thing and you like a little bit of vibrancy, then these are hard to fault. £695 for a Swiss-made diver is really good value for money, especially one with this level of finishing, intricate case construction, and a good quality Swiss movement. Throw in the fact that this is Christopher Ward, one of the most exciting watch brands on the planet, and I think it's a recipe for success. These have sold like hotcakes. The first batch is almost sold out, I can see why. So if you do want one of these, you'll have to join the next pre-order. But if you do, I don't think you'll be disappointed. I'll leave it linked below if you want to check out some of the other colour options, and I'll catch you in the next one, guys. Bye for now.